All right, we are recording. Welcome back to another episode of Hacks and Hobbies. And today I'm thrilled to have a guest who truly embodies the power of storytelling. Now,
Hmm.
Bill Blankschaen is the founder and chief story architect of Story Builders, a team that helps people craft stories worth telling. Now, he has collaborated with some of the biggest names like John Maxwell, Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, and Lewis House. Bill is also a New York Times bestseller writer, and through his work, he's helping individuals, influencers, and organizations make a lasting impact. Bill, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Junaid. I love what you're doing and looking forward to this conversation.
Absolutely. Now, before we dive into the art of storytelling, I love storytelling. By the way, it's something that I didn't know how to do till I started podcasting. So I
Mm.
always say podcasting made me the storyteller that I wasn't.
Ah,
Now,
that's good.
you know, uh,
Yeah.
I love to share and learn a bit about your journey on how did you go from being a storyteller to leading story builders and working with such an incredible line up of
Mm.
people.
Well, I think if you don't mind, I can start, back when I was a child, because I think
Absolutely.
that's where a lot of our dreams begin, right? When we're younger. And when I was a child, I was the kid who was reading the cereal boxes as he was eating his cereal, like constantly reading everything on, what are the
Yeah,
ingredients,
yeah.
what are all this 5 times, just keep reading it. Because I just love sucking up information, just loved
Mm-hmm.
absorbing it. And then my imagination would begin telling stories about it, right? And so as I grew, I realized I loved that words. I loved input. I loved doing something with it, right? So, that led to my majoring in college in history. What are the stories? And
Yeah.
English. How do you tell them, right? And so I had this common thread going on. But as I got older, met a beautiful woman who became my wife, needed to pay the bills. I've gotten to education. And so began teaching other people how to do
Mm-hmm.
that. And so did that for a dozen years. But it always deep within me, there was this stirring that I should be doing something more with story. I was drawn to it, and I was teaching other people how to do it, but not really doing it myself. And so eventually I reached the place where I realized, I had to either let go of one dream or let go of what I was doing in the moment and
Mm-hmm.
that identity. And I chose to let go of what I was doing in the moment and step away from that school and start in this direction.
Yeah.
It was not an easy road. We had 6 kids at the time, and we went a year with no income in
Wow.
going through that journey, going through that process to come out on the other side. But out of that eventually came Story Builders, right? As I began to dive into storytelling, I realized how many people need help telling their stories well and elevating those ideas. And so we assembled a team over time, and now we're
Mm-hmm.
looking at our 10th year. Our 10th anniversary is coming up
That's
January 1st,
amazing.
right? So we've just continued to help more and more people through that process.
That's absolutely an amazing turn of events and the journey that you've come through. It's pretty powerful because number one,
Yeah.
you stayed on track and like, hey, no, we got to get through this, and I know it's possible because you had that result from other people or the people that you were teaching and seeing their results. I'm like, hey, why can't we
Right.
apply that for our own thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I look at it now and I realize a powerful truth came out of that was that, our greatness begins when we start with our story. And so often we forget our story, but when we have the courage to reconnect with that, lean into it, and
Yeah.
and really act confidently in it, I went from reading cereal boxes to writing New York Times bestselling books, right? So that's what can happen, and I'm not saying that's the best thing ever in the world.
Sure.
To me, impact is more important than any of that. And so touching people's lives and making the world a better place, that's what can happen when we're willing to start with our own story.
You're so true, uh, in sharing that because there was a graphic that I saw earlier today or maybe yesterday where it says the diamond conversation, or you are a diamond, and then the
Mm.
people there's like really huge steps in front of that guy, and then there's a whole bunch of people that are following you
Mm.
because they're not being vulnerable. And then there's another
Mm,
one right next to it where it's every single step. Like there's literally step by step that they're sharing their stories of the journey that they're going through.
yeah,
So
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's where you are lit up as
yeah,
somebody who people can relate to because
yeah,
you've
yeah,
shared every single story, every
yeah,
single
yeah,
thing that you've gone through, and people are like, oh my god,
yeah.
I resonate with that part of the story.
Right, right. Well, and I love what you say there about diamonds, right? It's easy to look at the diamond at the end and say, wow, that's beautiful,
Yeah,
and miss the pressure that made it the diamond, right? Like I remember when we had the six
100%.
kids and no income. I mean, that there were some pretty tough nights where we were like, how are we
Mm-hmm.
going to pay this? How are we going to pay the mortgage? How are we going to I remember that Christmas clearly we didn't have money to give the kids gifts, right? So all we could afford, we got them their favorite cereal.
Mm.
After, I mean, they needed reading material to read the boxes, right? So we give them their favorite cereal and a 12 pack of soda or pop or some
Mm-hmm.
whatever, some soft drink, and that was all we could give them. But they
Yeah,
look back on that now as one of their favorite Christmases. It was a really powerful time for them and made such
yeah,
an impression, and inspired them to follow their own story and pursue their dreams too.
yeah. I absolutely love it, and from father to father, right? I'm a dad to four kids. You're dad to
Uh,
six kids, and
yeah.
it really goes to show like those experiences are the things that they remember more than all the toys in the world.
Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, the best gift you can give someone is empowering them to live their story well,
Yeah,
right? I like to say to live a story worth telling, right? And so when you can do that authentically, great things can happen.
absolutely. Now, Bill, you shared the story of what inspired you to create Story Builders and how you've been running it for the past decade and more years to come. How did it evolve into working with influencers like John C. Maxwell and Kevin Harrington? Like,
Mhm.
what was these stages that they came in or needed your help?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me frame it with the understand. A lot of people think of big names and well-known names and kind of put them on a pedestal, right?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
almost like they're not real people. And I
Mm,
think one of the keys for us has been we see everybody as the same. Everybody we work with is a real person. Everyone is has a story worth telling, and so we approach it with that idea that we don't approach people who have a following or something as if we're fans. We approach
yeah.
them as potential friends, right? How can we help you? How can we serve you?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that, candidly, a lot of that comes through relationships. As we do good work and people experience our work, and we always, whenever we work with people, we're always building friendships. We're always focusing on relationships through that. People just naturally say, hey, you need so and so needs your help, or I know somebody who needs your help in that way.
Yeah.
um you know uh, uh, all the names that you named there and many more, all came about because of organic relationships, right?
Yeah.
It was genuine, authentic. And I think people who are in position of influence have a hard time finding people who are willing and able to do that.
Mm,
They're always, I several the one gentleman I've worked with, he's always telling me I'm always getting solicited. I'm always getting hit up for, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me?
yeah.
And we have made it very important of we rarely, if ever, ask for anything. Like we that's not why we're here. We're here to serve, and build that trust in an authentic way. And then when we do that, then we're really free to do some great work together, right? So I think it
Yeah.
begins with relationships, organic, authentic relationships, delivering results. You have to deliver excellence, right?
Yeah.
Or it doesn't matter. But then putting all that stuff together into a way that just naturally makes it safe for people of influence to work with you.
That's such a powerful message there because you're delivering value to somebody who's always getting asked, right? Kind of like what John F. Kennedy says, right? Ask
Right, right,
not of what
right.
your country can do for you, but what you can do for the country.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the approach that I would recommend. Like Lewis Howes was just saying this the other day, or as we were talking about this for his next book,
Mm-hmm.
about how when you approach someone of influence, ask what you can do for them, ask how you can serve them, not what they can do for you, right? You go
Yeah.
into it with, I have this statement, one of my statements I read every morning, that when I focus on service, I'll never be disappointed. If I'm here to show up to serve and I serve, then I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to
Exactly.
get anything out of it. Even our conversation
Yeah.
here, if I can be of service, great. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm on this earth, to do that. And so,
Amen.
having that, no expectation beyond that. And it's amazing when you do that, connections emerge that you never imagined would emerge, or never imagined would be possible, because things partly because authenticity is so rare. And so when we find it, we tend to be drawn to it.
You're 100% right. And as somebody who believes in God and practice Islam and whatnot, uh, it is said that we're put on this earth to serve God. Like that is
Mm,
our literal um, purpose for being on
mm,
earth, is to serve God. Now there are many different ways to serve God, by helping your fellow man, by helping
mm,
the
mhm.
Mother Earth, by helping animals, by helping other people who don't have access to things. Like those are the different ways that we serve. So I love
Yeah,
that if you come with a mindset of servitude, the mindset of serving, you're never gonna be unhappy.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think that goes with, I mean, just drawing on my Christian faith as I think about that. For me, there's an emphasis on serving, and for me, that what does that look like when it's lived out? It's loving, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Jesus said, love God with all your heart and love your neighbor, right? So true love is really about what's best for the other person.
Yes.
Am I really helping them, or do I just think I'm helping?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's our selfish actions disguised as helping someone, right? Um, and so really taking the time to think through, what does that person really need? What do they, and most importantly, am I the best person to help? And if not, am
Yeah.
I willing to get out of the way? All right, I think that's huge, and
That's
that's
really
always where we're
powerful.
coming from. Is anybody we can help? If we can help you, great. If not, we want to get out of your way and let you keep doing what you're doing.
It's almost like the book Go Giver by Bob Berg in the first one,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he talks about
Yep.
just give. Like, what do you mean give? And then what he
Right.
did, right? Just gave the referral to somebody else in his competition,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that giving came back. And you
Yeah.
have to be able to reciprocate this, receive as well.
Sure. Oh, that's huge. That's huge. And that's gonna be tough for people sometimes because
Mm-hmm.
of trauma or scars in their life. It's hard for
Yeah,
them to actually receive that.
yeah,
Sometimes we have walls up that we have to heal and work through that in order to get to a place where we're comfortable
yeah.
receiving. And I think, by the way, here's a little hack for you. I think one way that I have found to help myself do that is
Mm-hmm.
when someone says something kind about me or says something positive. I found my first thought was to kind of downplay it and, oh no, that's not a big deal. Don't worry about
Mm-hmm.
it. Appear humble. And what I found is that it takes more courage to simply say thank you and
It does.
acknowledge that and receive it, and I'm giving them a gift by letting them acknowledge me in that
Yeah.
process, right? And so, anyways, so
No, you're absolutely right. And I'm what's that word? I do the same thing. Like, oh, that's no problem. I got this. You got this.
oh yeah,
Thank you so
yeah,
much. It's
yeah,
hard to take that compliment.
yeah, yeah. It's some of the hardest words are to say you're welcome, right?
It absolutely
Someone
is.
says thank you for doing that, and it's like, oh, it's no big deal. Just say
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
You're welcome.
It's my
Yeah.
pleasure. You don't have to work at Chick-fil-A to say it's my pleasure. So
Exactly. Now, Bill, you've worked with a variety of influencers, thought leaders. What were some of the key ingredients to creating a story that not only resonates but also makes an impact on the world? Because you did mention something about impact and having an impact
mm,
from
mhm.
the work that you're doing. So, what
Yeah,
are
yeah.
talk to me about those ingredients.
Well, I think it begins with passion. It begins with getting at the heart of it, right? What
Mm,
is it that's in someone's heart that they're trying to get out? Because a lot of times, think of one gentleman I worked with, well-known name. Uh, he's so busy, right? He's doing
yeah.
so much. He's got so much going on in life. the gift that I was able to give him was, let's slow down. Let's just
Mm,
think. Let's consider the stories of your life. Let's consider these things. And from that, we were able to pull out a lot of wisdom that he just took for granted as part of what he was doing, but
sure.
could help
Yeah.
so many other people, right? And so a lot of times it's just slowing down to understand the nuances of a message and of the content and what that could look like. So that I think that's one of the keys to doing that. The other one is putting some structure around it.
Mm-hmm.
Like at Story Builders, we use what we call our storytelling structure, which is just it's classic storytelling model that we pieced together. It's a 5-part process
Mm-hmm.
that we use whenever we're creating great content.
Yeah.
And so giving some structure around it, right? So great writing, either books or creating courses or workshops, anything like that is both an art and a science. And
Yeah.
so connecting with the heart and figuring out the art form of that, but then also using a proven structure and systems behind that and melding those two together in a way that is most efficient, effective, and excellent and creative, right? And so I think all those elements are kind of the keys when you're working with someone who maybe has limited time or
Yeah.
bandwidth to really help do that.
I love the fact that you have a structure around things because that makes it so much easier to for the mind to see, hey, this is what I got to do to pull out that best story, and it's easily
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
replicable too, right? Because
Right,
we
right,
love structure. Just like when we were
right,
driving a car, you want to stay on the right side of the lane.
right,
If you make a right
right.
turn, yeah, I think that's
Well, and that
beautiful.
makes it easier. That's why, as a team, we're able to follow the same structures, right? When we're
Mm-hmm.
working on projects, it's not just me, right? The whole
Yeah,
team is following the same process and structure,
yeah.
that art and science combination. And so, because of that, we're able to help more people and scale what we do.
So talking about scaling and talking about the structure, have you built like custom ChatGPT for your clients? I'm like, hey, here's the structure and here's your story, and then you can kind of we built this for you so that you can create more content, or are they like continually
Yeah.
working with you to create those scripts or to create those stories, or like
Yeah.
talk more about
Yeah.
those?
No, we don't use Chat GPT or AI or any of that sort. I mean, it has a role that can be used to
Sure.
create, summaries or idea starters and so forth.
Mm,
You have to be very careful though in content creation
yeah.
using AI and Chat GPT and so forth, because there are a lot of legal issues with that.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking someone else's content. You don't actually own the content then. And
Yeah.
so building an IP ecosystem is how we like to talk about an intellectual property ecosystem.
Mm,
You can't do that around ideas that aren't yours, right? That aren't proprietary to you. And so what we do is all let's get our hands dirty with the ideas, with the words. Occasionally we can use some AI here and there. It's a
sure.
growing area, but we also want to be very cautious to protect our authors, to protect the people we work with,
Yeah.
and what they're
Absolutely.
doing, so that they actually have original content that they're working with. So a lot of what we do is around books, for example. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
books are you go through the process, you create a book. There's a definitive length of time, and then the book is up and out into the world.
Yeah.
Um, we often work closely with our story partners, though, then to say, hey, we'll do it a digital course that's like the next step after the book, or this workshop
Mm,
experience where they do training, or this coaching program, or
yeah.
various things like that to monetize it. That's where we really continue to walk with them. And with some people, we do multiple books, right? So we
Yeah.
just can kind of keep going back and continue to work with them and develop their ideas around that. That tends to be more of how we work in the idea space
Sure.
on an ongoing basis.
I love that so much because we are much more smarter and like you said, you've created that IP ecosystem, which then enables them to curate the content and grow it organically and with
Right,
using real intelligence.
right, right, right.
Now, let's talk about the writing process. You mentioned, you help a lot of your clients, a lot of the people that you work with in creating these books. And writing a book can be a very daunting task for many people, especially if it's your first time doing and you haven't done a whole lot of writing. Can you walk us
Sure,
through your approach to writing a book
sure.
that'll that you'll be proud of?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and we offer kind of two approaches. One, if someone comes to us and says, "I really want to be the writer. I want to do the writing," we offer a story coaching path.
Mm-hmm.
If someone says, I'm not a writer, it's probably not the best use of my time, we can write for them and with them. But either one begins with what we call our story strategy
Mm-hmm.
phase. And that's really diving in at the opening segment of any project to figure out, we ask a lot of key questions. For
Yeah.
example, one of the first questions we ask is, hey, this book idea that you have, if someone were to read this book and walk away with it, close the pages, walk away, and forget almost everything they read,
Mm-hmm.
what is the one thing? What's the one thing that you would want them to walk away with? What is that one thing? And
Yeah.
that we call that our story focus. And that often really gets at the heart of why you're writing the book, what's the message you want to get out, and gives us direction on how we can build out from there to
Mm.
then build the framework of the book, to then build, to engage with the title of the book. Is there an overarching metaphor that we're using with the book?
Yeah.
That would bring it all together, and a whole lot of other questions to really develop a structure that will guide the book. So that's the first step. And then
Nice.
from there, it's all right, if we're coaching, if we're writing, whatever that is, then we start that process of drafting. Especially the first chapter, we put a lot of effort into getting that voice right, getting that tone just right, getting
Yeah.
the tempo and style. And then once we have that, then continuing to roll through the book to create that manuscript. And at the end, we're doing another thorough edit of it as well, right? So even though we've been
Yeah.
working on it, we always bring in fresh sets of eyes, get new
Yeah.
perspectives, upgrade the whole experience. And that is what's necessary to then create that manuscript. And then once we have the manuscript, then it's about turning it into to a publication, right?
Yeah.
So it depends on what, if we're working with another publisher, if we're publishing it, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's a fun creative process to get that up and out into the world.
Oh yeah. I love that. I love all of those processes because myself, I've recently published a few books around home studios. And I'm thinking about as you're sharing, what the one thing people should get out of it. I'm like, why? I did think through that, and this is what they should
Mm,
come out of it,
mm-hmm,
right? So,
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I like that I did think through
yeah.
those things, even though I don't have the correct, mm, you know, uh, correct wording or naming convention that
Oh,
you
sure,
that you
sure,
use, right?
sure, sure. Yeah. Well, it's important to do all that. Important to think through your audience too,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Because and really to narrow it down, because a book for everyone is a book for no one.
I agree.
And so you have to focus, who exactly is my audience, and I've got to make sure I hit a home run with them. And then there's other, like a secondary level that would also be impacted that could be helpful. And then there's a broader general audience. I
Yeah.
spoke to one political figure not long ago about a book, and he said, well, I think this is a book, everyone would benefit from this book. I'm like, well, well, that's a problem.
That's the problem. That
Because
sure is a
because
problem.
if a book about everything and a book for everyone, that's called the internet. We already have that, right? You can go read that anytime you want.
I'm
But
gonna
people
take
don't do
that.
that. People
Yeah.
don't, yeah, people don't just get on Google and start browsing randomly to see what they see.
No.
They search for cat videos or whatever, how to do this or that. They're looking for
Yeah.
something. And so you got to figure out, who's my audience, what are they looking for? And
Yeah.
how does what I'm doing deliver that?
That's really powerful. It's almost like what these are some of the things that aspiring authors should keep in mind. Have the one person that you're writing the book for so that
Sure.
you're so focused that other people start seeing themselves in that one
Mm.
person.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Funny story. So I sucked at English composition class, right? When I was going to college, it's the one class they were like, okay, you have to write every day. You got to have a journal. And I sucked at writing. I was like, I don't want to do this.
Uh,
And I dropped out of that class 3 times. I never finished that English composition class. But what I realized I was doing is I was blogging on things that I really love to talk about.
mm,
So I've been
mm-hmm.
blogging for a while, and it was I think it was 2018. My friend, who's also a designer and a graphic artist, is like, hey, you need to check out this book called Authority by
Mm,
Nathan Barry. And I read this book, and I'm like, wow, this is really powerful. Like people write books to build, set up their authority, and that's funny because author comes from authority. So
sure.
now
Yep.
going through
Exactly.
that process and having written a few books myself, I was like, wow, this has been a really
Yeah.
interesting turn of events.
Yeah. Well, that's the powerful thing about books is if you've written a book about something, people assume you must know a lot about it.
Mm-hmm.
They assume you are an authority, right? As an
Yeah.
author. And the reality is you may not know much of anything about it, but they still assume that. And that's usually a good assumption. If you've done the work on a book, you've put the thought into it, you've done the
Yeah.
learning on it, you have something to say about it. And
Exactly.
so it really establishes that credential of as an expert
Yeah.
on whatever the particular topic is, which is why it's important to get particular about the topic, right? Is it something you really want to talk about? Is it something
Mm.
that you want to be an expert on? Or is it just some words that you cranked out, which
Sure.
is not a good success for helping to promote that book?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Now, let's talk about challenges in writing. We've talked about all of the things that you should be doing correctly, and you've got a story framework, you've got a little story strategy. What are some of the common obstacles that people are facing when writing a book, and how can they overcome them so that
Yeah.
they can
Well,
bring
I
their
think,
stories to life?
yeah, I think a big one is time.
Mm.
It's just we live at such a busy pace, and especially the people we work with, they're successful people, right? They have a lot of good things going on. And so they don't often have time, which is where we really add the most value. Is you
Yeah.
don't have time for that, not a problem. We come in and not only do you not miss a beat in terms of excellence, we actually elevate your ideas. We elevate it to the next level. So we really try to make it a no-brainer win-win scenario, because not only are you saving time, but you're getting a better product
Mm-hmm.
at the end, because we're coming in and helping to elevate. So I think time is a big one. The interesting one is confidence. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people just aren't confident in their own story. They don't see the value in their own story and their own message that they have, and how those things come together. And so because they don't have confidence, they're not that eager to put that out into the world or to
Mm.
build something around it, right? And
Yeah.
so I had this happen just the other day. I spoke at the Summit of Greatness with Lewis a couple weeks ago, a month ago,
Nice. Nice.
and I had someone come up to me afterwards and say, "Wow, your story just really resonated with me and moved me so much so that I've decided I was applying for a job that was a good paying job, multiple
Mm-hmm.
six figures, and I was debating, do I go my own route and follow my own passion, or do I go for this job? And I decided if he can do it with six kids and step out and do this, I don't have any kids. I can go do it."
Yeah.
And so she was like, so I canceled the interview and I'm going full speed.
Wow.
So things like that, where like it's my story, so it feels normal to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing with all of us. Our own story feels very normal.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like anything special. And yet when other people hear it, when it's told well, it resonates and inspires them to take action. Right.
Yeah.
So I think having that confidence in your own story and getting clarity on it and learning how to tell it well, um, can change everything. Right. And so,
Yeah.
and we all struggle with confidence at some level. Right. And so being able to do that, having a team you can trust to come alongside and lift you up to do that, can be just super helpful.
No, you're absolutely right. Telling a story has its own art, right? There's so many books written on storytelling, like the story blocks.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's Matthew Dick's entire book series of how to tell stories, how to take 5 minutes out of every day and write down
Right.
a story that happened to you, because that's yours,
Right.
that's authentic, that's your unique, and nobody else has experienced that. And then when you tell it the right way, it just
Yeah.
turns
Yeah.
heads.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the keys too is good storytelling takes time, and as a culture, we're in such a rushed
Oh my
state
god. Yeah.
that, you have to be able to slow down to tell a story well. When you watch a good film, for example, you almost can tell it's going to be a good film at the outset when it's evident that they're going to take their time with the storytelling.
Yeah.
They're not going to rush it. They're going to let the story unfold. They're going to let you feel the moment. They're going to all those things. And I think that's why good storytelling is becoming more and more scarce, because we get in such a frenetic pace that we don't take time to really tell the story well. We don't take time to hear other people
Mm-hmm.
telling their stories
Mm-hmm.
as well. We want it in an 8-second soundbite, that's it. And good storytelling, doesn't work that way. So
No, not at all. Because that's called popcorn.
yeah, right,
I
right.
call short videos popcorn. It's like carbs, but
Yeah,
you need the protein to
yeah,
really
yeah,
help grow your channel and grow your
exactly,
audience and whatnot.
exactly. Yes, it's
Now,
good.
Bill, for those who are already, number one, creating content, whether it's in the form of writing or podcasts, what are some of the enhancements that they can make to improve the way they tell their stories?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think one of let me just walk you through the 5 steps of our storytelling structure at a really high level. That might help.
Yeah.
The first step is attention. So being intentional about getting someone's attention. So you have to earn the right to get someone's attention,
Mm-hmm.
right? So thinking about what is it that they want. I mentioned this earlier. Think about what is it they want? What are they aspiring for, that audience, getting clear on your audience and what they want, right? So that's number one, thinking about where they're coming from and why they should care about whatever you have to say.
Yeah.
The second one is tension. So attention and then tension. What is the tension they're facing? What's the gap between what they want and where they want to go, and why is there a gap?
Mm-hmm.
What's the pain points that they're experiencing, both tangible and intangible? Our internal fears and the psychology that governs that.
Yeah.
And then the third one is connection. How do you, as an individual, connect with them? And I think there's a couple dimensions of that. The first is you have to demonstrate that you understand their pain, right? You can empathize with them. You've been there, you've done that. My friend Rory Vaden often says that you're best positioned to serve the person you once were. And
Yes.
so if you have felt that pain and so forth, then you're probably you get it, right? Um, but the key is that you once were. You're no longer that person,
Yeah.
right? So you also have to demonstrate that you have a credential of I've solved this problem. I've had some success in this, so let me help you.
Yeah. You've had the
Which leads,
transformation, right?
yeah, exactly. That you want them to have, and so which leads to I have a solution for you, right? That's the fourth step, solution.
Yeah.
And that solution is really the main idea of what it is you're offering. And this structure could work in as something as simple as a blog post. It could work in a short book. It could work in a full book. We use it in our chapters.
Yeah.
We use it everywhere. But to unpack then that what is the solution? That's really the heart of the content. And a helpful thing there is whenever possible to give it a name. Seth Godin talks about that there's great power in naming something. It gives it a sense of a stickiness that
Mm-hmm.
it's now, once you name it, it becomes a real, right? There's power in naming. And then finally, the action. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people tell stories without giving a thought to what do I want people to do with this? What's the action I want them to take from this? Where am I pointing them? Where am I taking them on
Yeah.
this journey and giving thought and intention to that? So as a leader in a company, for example, if you're thinking, all right, I need to communicate something to my team, run it through that 5 step framework to come up with a simple story that you can tell them. I guarantee whatever you tell will be significantly better when you do that.
Yeah.
It will resonate more. It will make a lot more sense. It'll be sticky. It'll be memorable. And using that basic structure. Now, when we get into books, we get even deeper on some of those issues and
Of
so forth.
course.
But that kind of structure, I think, is just super helpful to creating compelling messaging.
And Bill, thank you so much for sharing the five step framework. Is that what you call it?
Our storytelling structure.
The
Yes,
story.
our storytelling structure. Yep.
Awesome. The storytelling structure.
Storytelling structure. Yeah.
Right. It's almost like a tongue
our, our
twister.
our our tongue twister towards storytelling structure. Yes.
Well, at least it's not a patter song, because that's even
Right.
harder.
Right.
All right, Bill, this has been so much fun. I learned so much from you. I'm absolutely inspired to, start using that storytelling structure so that my
Awesome.
stories are even more, attention grabbing, and people, will take
Mm.
action at the end of
Mm.
it. Let's take a quick
Sure.
break, and after the break, you're going to share 3 hacks that our audience can implement to tell even better stories.
Awesome.
Hey guys, welcome back. We've been talking with Bill Blankschaen here on the podcast, learning about storytelling, the storytelling structure, and everything that has to do with storytelling. I mean, we are storytellers as human beings, and we love listening to
Mhm.
stories. That's why there's so many TV shows and movies and stories on audiobooks, like you name it, right? Everywhere there's a story, and who else to learn from storytelling than from the
Mm.
storytelling architect himself? So, Bill, uh, walk us through these three practical tips that our listeners can apply and use it right away to start telling even better stories.
Yeah, absolutely. And the three I have are they're really kind of mind hacks in some ways, but they have practical applications. The first is one I mentioned earlier, which is to start with story, right? So flip the switch in your mind right now that, hey, whenever I'm facing anything, hey, I need to tell something, I need to communicate something, I need some new initiative. I need to start with story. And so, what does that mean? The storytelling structure I just walked through, how do I apply that? How can I run it through that filter rather than just winging it and hoping that it lands, right? And then even if you're putting something on social or you got whatever the case may be, just be intentional
Mm,
about that, starting with story and then starting your own leadership, your own brand, whatever that might be, having the confidence to start with your story, right? To get clear on your story,
yeah.
to figure out what's the impact of it, to explore it, right? There's no way we can in a couple seconds here dive into all that, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you find someone to help you explore it. Maybe story builders, maybe somebody else, whoever. Get somebody to help you do that, read up on it and be intentional about it. So I think that's the first one
I love it.
is to really start with that story.
And
Um,
I think
yeah.
it's really powerful too because my sister just started her practice, and she's doing the business on her own, and she's posting the social media content. And I think this
Mm-hmm.
is a really powerful message because if you use the storytelling method to create that content, it's going to
Right.
resonate with even more people.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it will, and it frees you to be more creative because you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about the structure. You can just be creative and let the structure be the structure.
Yeah.
I need to fill
Exactly.
the boxes, make
Yeah.
sure it feels good,
Yeah.
and then go, right? So it simplifies life
Yep.
in that way.
I love it.
I think the second hack is one that I've used for my goodness, more than a couple decades now,
Wow.
and it feels counterintuitive, and that is you often have to slow down in order to speed up. Right. We kind of hinted at that a little bit a minute ago with
Mm-hmm.
authors who don't have the time and you kind of slow down and take the time.
Yeah.
Stephen Covey used to say, I think it was his second habit well, no, it wasn't one of his habits, but he used to say, when it comes to people, fast is slow and slow is fast. And I found that to be so true
Mm-hmm.
that in whatever you're building right now, I guarantee you're probably dependent on or interacting with other people. You're probably leading people, developing people, whatever the case may be. And the tendency, I think, can be for entrepreneurs to want to go get things done. Let's take action. Let's do something.
Yeah.
And forgetting that people take time to adjust, to grow,
Mm-hmm.
to change. And when I have found whenever I shortcut that process, I pay the price.
Mm.
Right. I think I'm going faster by shortcutting it, and it ends up taking longer because I took a shortcut. The shortcut turned out to be a detour. Right.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and so that idea of it's important to slow down to speed up. So, intentionally scheduling time in your calendar to slow down, intentionally scheduling time to think, to meditate, prayer, whatever that might be, both breath work, to be able to take some time to do that, and then taking time with the people you lead will actually accelerate that growth exponentially.
Yeah.
And I just found that hack to be just so useful in developing a team.
I love that. Thanks so much. I mean, it makes a lot of sense because, um, like you said, people take a lot of time to get started. It takes a lot of time to get a boulder started, but once you have it started, then it starts rolling so much faster. So I love it.
Yeah,
Slow
yeah,
down to
yeah.
speed up.
Investing in it. Yep, absolutely. And I'd say the third hack is to practice the art of letting go without letting up. And what I mean by that is developing the ability to run full speed, all out, with our hands wide open,
Hmm.
right? So, it's I have found in my life that when I'm going all out and things might tempt me to be fearful or anxious or any of that kind of stuff, I tend to like try to hold on tighter. And the tighter I hold, the more I lose grip, the more I
Hmm.
lose what's in my hand. So the idea of keeping our hands and our hearts open as we're going full speed and going all out, right? So going all in.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of use the example of it's almost like if you have a blank sheet of paper. I don't have any near me right now. If you have a
Sure.
blank sheet of paper and hold it against your hand and just leave it there, it's going to fall.
Yeah.
But you can actually get it to stay there by what? By
Moving
going
your hand.
forward,
Yeah.
right? By meeting the resistance, but keeping your hand open. You try to close it, the paper's gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that idea of all out going, all out, letting go, right? Without letting up our effort. And I think there's because I think we tend to think someday I'm going to get to the place where I can just let up,
Mm.
or someday I can get to the place where I don't have to let go. And no, actually, it's a both and. And the solution is in both letting up and letting go at the
Yeah.
same time.
That's powerful. That's so powerful. It sounds counterintuitive, but you're adding another level of physicality to all of it, and that's
Mm,
what keeps it in place.
mm, yeah, yeah. So it's a mindset that takes time to grow.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Bill, this has been so much fun. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. Learned so much that I can't wait to implement. That I can't wait to share with my audience on the
Awesome.
power of storytelling. In fact, a few years ago, I bought this thing, and I don't know if you've heard this. It's called the Storyteller Tactics cards or the Workshop Tactic cards.
I've heard something of it. Yeah.
Um, it's basically they made these really cool cards that
Yep.
have different tactics on how to tell a story, how to put these things together. So many different
Yep.
structures, but your storytelling structure is so simple that I can take it and
Yeah.
run with it
Yeah.
pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Simple is useful. So
100%. All right, this is now we're gonna jump into the last segment of the podcast where I ask, fun 6 questions. So, question number 1: what's the one hobby that you wish you got into?
well, I think I'd have to say golf.
Hmm.
Because I love the game. My grandfather initially taught me the game before he passed, and I love the game. But having 6 kids and golfing doesn't often go well together. So, it's still to me just a hobby. It probably will always be a hobby that I probably won't really get into a lot, but
Sure,
I enjoy it.
I love it. That's a fun game for sure. I've played just a little bit of golf. Either at what's that, Top Golf, or one time we just
Oh, sure,
did some
sure.
swinging. What do you call that? There's a term for
Oh,
where you
like a
just
driving range or
yeah,
something.
the
Yeah,
driving
yeah,
range exactly.
sure,
Not actually golfing
sure.
the 18 holes or the 9 holes. It's 18.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep,
All right, next
yep.
up, what did you want to be when you were a child?
Um, I think I wanted to be a writer.
Mm-hmm.
At times I played with being an attorney, even thought about being a chemist, but I didn't like the math.
Yeah.
But writing, I mean, it was storytelling. I wanted to be a storyteller,
Yeah.
and
I
I'm
mean,
blessed
you done a
that's what I
lot
do.
of cereal box reading. Like, hey, how can I
Right,
make this
right,
even better story?
right, right. Yeah, I that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a storyteller.
you know, because we're talking about storytelling and because I love storytelling, what is your favorite movie or TV show? That's the next
Hmm.
question.
Well, that's a tough question because I love movies and TV shows precisely because of the storytelling, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I'd have to say my favorite TV show, especially as a young or older teenager and so forth, was a show called MacGyver. I don't know
Oh
if you
my
ever
God.
remember that one.
Yeah, I love
Right.
that show.
MacGyver was probably my favorite. In fact, that's why I had looked at maybe going into chemistry because he was
Mm.
so cool with chemistry stuff. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do that. But they didn't mention all the math involved. So I
Yeah,
moved on from that. But yeah, no, fun. The original MacGyver, right? Just a fun show.
yeah.
I like the creativity, the innovation, and the whole theme of using that to do good in the world
Yes.
was just resonated with me.
No, I absolutely loved that show as well. Grew up watching it, and then I thoroughly enjoyed the reboot or the new
Mm,
series that they created as well. It was a
right,
lot of
right.
fun.
Sure.
All right, next up, what movie would you choose if you got to play a character in it?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. If I got to play a character in it, wow. Hmm. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take the easy route here. I'm going to pick one that my wife really likes. And
Okay.
so if I could be the main character
Yeah.
in the movie that she likes, I'd say this is one from back in the 90s, a
Sure.
country music one. It's oh my goodness, now the name's escaping me. It's one with George Strait. George Strait played the main
Okay.
character in it
Okay.
as a singer, and
Nice.
I just can't remember the name of it now, but one of your listeners will probably be shouting it out at me as
Yeah,
we
please
speak.
shout
But
out the comment on
yeah, yeah,
Spotify. What's
throw
the
in the
name of
comment.
of the movie that Bill is thinking
um,
about? Because I can't wait to look it up myself. But if you already
uh,
know, you could drop a comment.
yeah, it'll come to me as soon as we hang up here and end the meeting. But
Like, hey, it was
um,
this one.
something country. I don't remember what it is, but anyways, that's what it is. You know, he plays himself is really what he plays. He plays a country singer in just a very authentic way, and I think that resonates with me too.
Well, we're gonna help you solve that problem real quick. Is it called No? No, Money for Nothing is the name of a song. Um, nope, that doesn't look close.
Pure country is what it is.
Pure Country is the
Pure
name of the movie.
country. Yeah,
So if you commented Pure Country, send
yeah,
us a
yeah.
message
Pure
and we'll
country. Okay,
send you a
there you go.
song by Dire Straits. I don't
There you go.
know. All right, Bill. Next question: Who is your favorite superhero?
I'd have to say probably Captain America,
Mm-hmm.
and I usually don't. I'm not a big superhero fan necessarily, but Captain America just feels normal
Yeah.
in many ways. He feels authentic, and I think his that character tends to this theme of integrity is so important to him, right? And being
Yeah.
true to who he is and his values, that's really what resonates with me more than any like superpower. That to me is a superpower, that keeps him focused and using his powers for good.
Amen. Man, that's so powerful. Thank you for sharing. He's one, right? He's the one. He's kept that integrity all
Mm,
of his life, like all of
yeah,
the
yeah,
hundreds of years that he's lived,
yeah,
right? He's like, nope,
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna keep coming
Yep,
back, making sure this is right.
yep, yep.
All right, last question. If you were a board game, what would it be?
If I were a board game or
Yeah.
if I played a board game, if I
If
were a board
you were a
game,
board game, yeah.
oh my. If I were a board game. Something involving storytelling for sure,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Um, one of my favorites is Settlers of Catan,
Yes.
where you can put some strategy and kind of stories develop and there's interaction amongst people. So I think I'd go with that one.
Nice. Apparently, there's a board game called Storymatic,
Ah,
uh, which is a narrative-driven storytelling game. It's pretty cool.
oh, okay. Okay. I actually like the board games that are like solving murders or mysteries or things
Yeah,
like that.
because it
Those can
has
be
a
fun too. Escape room feel to them, right?
yeah,
So,
they've got a embedded story inside of it. There's another
yep.
game that I really enjoyed playing. I actually backed it on Kickstarter. It's called Machine of Death, and you would
Hmm.
basically it's kind of like a card game, but you basically put a story together to make a
Hmm.
like a reality of how somebody died, and
Right.
it was pretty
Oh,
interesting
interesting.
and very
Hmm.
dark as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like it. Oh,
All right, Bill. Well, it's been
cool.
hold on. Let me switch the scene. Bill, it's been such an insightful conversation today. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on. I've enjoyed it as well. Enjoyed engaging with anytime I can talk about storytelling and how to help people tell their stories well. It's time well spent.
Absolutely. The journey, the expertise in storytelling is absolutely resonates deeply because I love a good story, and it's what keeps us wanting more and wanting to be
Mm.
part of those
Hmm.
stories. Like, for example, I don't know if you've seen the TV show Only Murders in the Building with Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. It's
I haven't
actually
seen
on.
the show yet. I've seen some promotional things for it, but I haven't seen it yet.
It's
Yeah.
really really cool because not only is it about them inserting themselves into a story, but then they're also creating a podcast around the
Huh.
murders that are happening in the building. It's
Okay.
really funny.
That's cool.
Awesome. Now,
Cool.
I know our listeners will take a lot of valuable lessons from here. Bill, before we go, how can our listeners connect with you and learn more about story builders?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to connect. You can visit our website, obviously, mystorybuilders.com. Check out our website. But if you want to book a time, if your listeners want to book a time and say, hey, I have a book idea or I've got a story I'm trying to put together, I'm trying to
Hmm.
get my brand story together or a course, whatever, you can just go to mystorybuilders.com/story and just book time right there for a free session. We'll dive in and do some ideating with you and talk to you and help you. We'll move you forward in some way.
I love it.
And if we can help you, great. If not, as I said, we'll get out of your way. But just go to mystorybuilders.com/story. And if you want to connect with us on LinkedIn and Facebook, just look up Story Builders and find us there.
Perfect. I'll be sure to include all the links and details on the show notes so that folks can connect with you and book that free time with you.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And to our
Thank
listeners,
you,
thank
Junaid.
you so much for joining for another episode of Hacks and Hobbies. Keep crafting your stories, pursuing your passions, and remember, every great adventure starts with a story worth telling. See you next time.